Tia Bai looked at his kneeling disciples, then glanced at Zhang Xiaofan still in the corner, bleeding and struggling. His face was full of anger, and with a snort, he flung his sleeves and walked out. Su Ru glanced at the crowd, shook her head and sighed lightly, and said to Song Darren and the others who were helping Zhang Xiaofan stand up, "You can all get up now." Then, she looked at Zhang Xiaofan in the distance, who was being helped to stand up by He Dazi, and said to Song Darren, who was supporting him, "You take care of Xiaofan. I'll go see your master." Song Darren and the others hurriedly said, "Yes, master." Su Ru sighed again and walked out. Inside the room, everyone looked at each other. After a while, Tia Linger walked over slowly, turned her back to everyone, and helped Zhang Xiaofan up. Zhang Xiaofan had foam at the corner of his mouth and lay in her arms, still smiling. At that moment, a cool tear quietly fell into the blood pool on his face. By now, it was late at night. Above the sea of clouds, the clouds were still drifting, as beautiful as a fairyland. Tia Bai stood in the middle of the square, looking up at the sky. The night sky was full of countless stars, and the moon was cold as frost. Behind him, familiar footsteps approached. Su Ru walked to his side, looked up at the stars, and smiled faintly, feeling better. Tia Bai snorted, but said nothing. Su Ru smiled faintly. "You can fool Darren, Linger, and the others, but you can't fool me. That flick of your sleeve just now, I'm afraid it was deliberately to shake Xiaofan's chest meridians, forcing the accumulated blood to flow out. Am I right?" Tia Bai looked at the night sky, silent. Su Ru shook her head. "We're both hundreds of years old. Why are you still so obsessed with your pride?" Tia Bai turned his head, glared at his wife, and said, "You've seen it yourself. That brat acted as if he was wronged in front of so many disciples. He even dared to oppose me. Do you mean to say that I, as his master, bullied and coerced him? It's outrageous." Su Ru glanced at their residence and said, "I don't believe you didn't see it." Tia Bai said, "What?" Su Ru said lightly, "Linger's behavior was strange, don't you think?" Tia Bai snorted. Su Ru smiled. "You've also noticed Xiaofan has been on Dazhu Peak for 5 years without going out, so it must have been passed on to him secretly by our disciples. Linger has always been close to Xiaofan. She's usually bold and outspoken, but this time, she didn't say a word. If it weren't for her, then who else?" Tia Bai seemed to have already thought of what his wife said, his face showing no surprise, but still angry, even if it's Linger's fault. "That brat, Zhang Xiaofan, stubbornly opposed me in front of so many disciples. It's unforgivable." Su Ru chuckled softly, gently patting her husband's shoulder, and scolded, "You're just as stubborn as ever, and you blame a child. Besides, Xiaofan's actions were all for Linger. Such sincerity is rare." Tia Bai rolled his eyes, but didn't say anything. Under the moonlight, his chubby body trembled slightly, looking quite ridiculous. There was even a hint of smugness in his expression, as if to say, "No matter how good they treat you, you still end up marrying me." Su Ru saw through his thoughts and couldn't help but scold, "You're incorrigible." Tia Bai was in a good mood, reaching out to hold his wife's silky smooth hand, walking leisurely in the sea of clouds. "Oh, I almost forgot something important. What is it?" "That brat used a burning stick as a magic weapon, and it seems quite effective. I was so angry just now that I forgot to take a look at it. Xiaofan is still practicing secretly after all, and he may not know much about manipulating and using magic weapons. Shall we find some time to guide him?" "Humph, we'll see." Last night, the head senior brother called us over and said that after communicating with the Spirit Lord using spiritual arts, he found that the Spirit Lord seemed to have sensed some ominous aura, but later couldn't find it again. What should we do? What else can we do? If we can't find it, then we can't find it. The Spirit Lord has lived for at least 6,000 years, and your master is 600 years old and already confused. It's not surprising that the Spirit Lord is also a bit confused now.